I'm Trey.
I'm Adam.
Valentino.
So, what makes us sports fans?
So, being sports fans, we all want to find some way to connect sports and motivation. So, as we all know, the three motivational needs are hunger, sex, and the need to belong. So, sports, as we learned earlier, are a microcosm of our world. Microcosm meaning miniature world, a world in which we can see psychological patterns on a smaller scale. And sports are a microcosm of this, and people go to sports to fulfill their need to belong often. And this is altruistic motivation, meaning that you do something for yourself for personal benefit. So you become a sports fan because it makes you feel good and it'll satisfy
Going
yourself.
back to what Trey said, all humans have the need to belong. We did most of our research based off of a study conducted by Dr. Vaughn from Murray State. And he stated that team identification is the extent to which a fan feels a psychological connection to a team and that team's performances. So he also pointed out that fans tend to use "we" when describing their favorite team instead of "they," showing that that they feel that they are part of that team or belong to the culture, like little society that makes up that team. He also stated he talked about how it's not about the choosing your favorite team or why people are sports fans for specific teams isn't about a team's wins and losses. So it's not about how they perform on the field. He stated voluntary activity where half the people won't like the product after consuming it. You wouldn't go to a movie if you thought there was a 50-50 chance you wouldn't like it. So basically he's saying at every sporting event there's a 50-50 chance that your team will lose. So why do you go? Because there's a 50% chance that at the end of the day you're not going to like it. And so also making the point that not everybody likes the best teams, or else everybody would be only cheering for the undefeated teams, the Ohio State, the champions every single year. Just everyone would be bandwagon fans, like Adam Blender. For example, the Chicago Cubs have been under 500, so they've had more losses than wins since 2009, and they haven't won a World Series in over 100 years. And last year they finished 10th in game attendances in all the MLB. So this is pretty interesting. They're one of the worst teams in the league consistently for a long time. They haven't done anything notable, yet they're one of the most they have the most people coming to their games. So this really shows that their fans aren't coming because they're doing poorly or they're doing really well. Their fans are coming because they like being a part of something. They like being part of, contributing to the Cubs organization, and they like the atmosphere in the ballpark. And Dr. Vaughn actually did interview the owner of the Cubs, and he stated, and the Cubs owner stated, well, we haven't, had that many, we haven't won anything significant in a long time, but I think the atmosphere of the park really brings people in, and that is true. People like being. Sports are a social event, and Dr. Vaughn also talked about this. I know a lot of people watched the Super Bowl, and I know a lot of people didn't watch the Super Bowl alone. Sports are a social thing, and people like being, and it brings people together. So watching sports games are social events. This also continues on to kids and their parents and their offsprings. I know a lot of kids really bond with their parents, especially when they're younger, over favorite sports teams. I know at least my dad was always a big Boise State fan, and he always liked them. And when I was younger, I began to like them, and I'm a Boise State fan now. And it helps. It really brings a connection, and it really shows psychologically for the kids. They're motivated to cheer for that team because it'll bring them together, and that goes on in intrinsic motivation because it's your internal drive to be a part of something bigger, so you can have. So you can be content with yourself and fulfill that need to be a part of something. Because that's within, and that's really what intrinsic motivation is about.
So in conclusion, sports fans are intrinsically motivated because we feel the need to belong to something bigger than ourselves, and that's what sports brings to us.